Welcome back to Computer Compulsive. My name is Craig, and we're coming to you from the basement. Keith did a live stream earlier today recapping an LC3 that he just got, and they successfully did that. So check that out when you get some time. It is Sunday, and we wanted to talk about cards. So I've entitled this broadcast, Pick a Card, Any Card. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at some of the expansion cards that we got in our major haul in November. And if I'm feeling ambitious, we might look at some of my cards as well. So for those of you who weren't paying attention in November, Keith and I found a major collectors group of computers. Tandy, TRS-80s, PETs, Commodore, IBM PC, Apple II, 3, Mac, all sorts of incredible computer stuff. And as Keith and I decided to acquire this gentleman's collection, little did we know how many expansion cards we would have. And so today we're going to take a look. We've got a big tub behind me of cards. We're going to pull them out one at a time. We're going to take a look at them. We're going to talk about them. And in future videos, we'll actually sit down and do some hardcore testing. But for now, I thought it might be neat if we just did a roll call of what cards are here. So without further ado, we are going to switch to my new favorite feature in Switcher. You can have a completely different camera angle with different overlays. Welcome to the card cam, everybody. So first things first, I was actually taking a look at all of our stuff the other day, and I realized there was a couple cards in storage that we had forgotten about. So the first card I wanted to show you is Lance GS. So you might be thinking, what the heck is that, Craig? Well, the answer is, ding, 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 ding. Look, it's an Ethernet card. Excuse me. It's an Ethernet card for the Apple II GS. And this is really neat because I actually bought a Ethernet card for my Apple II, but whenever I plug it in, my Apple II doesn't want to boot. So we're looking forward to testing this out. And the nice thing about this, we also got an install disk. So Tools Disk Lance GS. How about that? So I'm still finding my way with these camera angles. And we actually even have a little bit of documentation here. So let's have a look at this. You can see here, PayPal packing slip, what was paid for it. That's kind of cool. And then over here, we have Ethernet card for Apple II computers. So this says it's for the Apple II GS. Not sure if it works in any other Apple IIs. Maybe it's just the 2GS. Maybe it's the 2E. Not sure. Seems to me that it's for GS only. But nonetheless, I'm excited because the 2GS is a very capable computer. And there's lots of expansion for it. And I think we have more cards than just this. But this is an Ethernet card for the Apple II GS. It's called the Lance GS. So we're looking forward to playing with that. I have a couple of GS systems, one of which is in the garage, and I have the original boxes for it. And yeah, so that's our first card, the Lance GS. It is an Ethernet card, and it's even got LEDs on the card for, I think, different types of activity. So like collision, connection, that sort of thing. So Lance GS is number one on our card catalog, which we are now going to go through bit by bit. Next thing on the agenda is, this was also in another bucket that I think we forgot about, or at least I did. We're going to go back to the card cam in just a second, but again, some more eBay details there on what was paid for. Let's switch cameras here again. Love the second camera angle. We're working on getting better at this. Okay, and this is particularly interesting. For those of you in the know, you'll see that this is, this has a little ribbon cable on it, as does the other one, but that is a SCSI connector. And so what this is, based on the documentation, it's this is a SCSI card. And the neat thing about the SCSI card is that it is for the Apple II GS, I think. There's different firmware for this, apparently. So depending on the revision, okay, it says here, revision C to use the card with the GS OS in a 2GS, it says. So revision C is 0437. What number are we looking for there? Let's see if we can figure this out. 3410797. That doesn't match any of the numbers I see in the documentation. Anyways, we'll have to check that out later, but the good news is this card lets you connect SCSI peripherals to your Apple II. I'm assuming it's the 2GS, but maybe it works in the 2 as well. We don't have the original, what's the model number of this? 6070220-S. We also have 8200153-A. Yeah, we'll have to do some more homework on this, but this is a SCSI card for the Apple II. So if you're running an Apple IIe or a 2GS, you can actually hook up like a CD-ROM player and you could play music, or you might be able to hook up a hard drive as well. So these are pretty sought after from what I understand. So SCSI card for the Apple II. We'll put this back in the bag. The do-it-yourself SCSI hard drive manual says 1988, and the card says, well, the chips say 89 on it, and it says 1990 over by the Apple number, 8200153-A. So we have an Ethernet card for an Apple IIGS, and we have a high-speed SCSI card for an Apple IIGS. So looking forward to trying those things out later. What's next on the agenda? Well, this goes back in here. We're just going to pull cards out and we're just going to take a look at them. So I don't know. I have no idea what we're doing. This is all new to me. Some of these cards I may have seen before. A lot of them are probably new-ish. So what's next on the agenda? Let's just start pulling things out. Oh, this one's a good one. I feel like it's Christmas and we're unpackaging things. Back to the card cam, everybody. Card cam says, this one's pretty special to me. I like this. This is a very rare Daystar 601 card. Now, the cool thing about the 601 card is you put this in a 2CI and it gives it a 601 PowerPC. So you'll notice that there's a very substantial heat sink on the 601. So actually Keith put the heat sinks on all these chips because they get hot. They get really hot. And so we tested this in the 2CI that we sold, and when we plugged it in, it booted to the modern PowerPC, that the octave jumping chime, which tells you that it's in PowerPC mode. It is working, and it also says down here 66 megahertz. Now these apparently can be overclocked. You can overclock this, but probably don't want to monkey with this too much because these cards are crazy rare and we actually know that this thing is working. Somebody had said, no one's ever really confirmed this, but people have tried to get this to work in an SE30. Some people say that it's not going to work in an SE30 unless you have a 2SI adapter. I don't know much about that. I do know that some people have tried the 2SI adapter with this 601 card in an SE30. Some people were able to get the PowerPC chime apparently, and then nothing else happens. So I might take a crack at this, but I don't think I'm any smarter than anybody else. But the SE30 is not quite the same as the 2SI. It's a little bit different. And so this 601 will work in a 2SI with a 2SI adapter. And I think my friend in Manitoba, Mr. Fahrenheit, I think he has the 2SI adapter, so I might ask him nicely if he might lend it to me. So back to the card cam again. This is a lovely Daystar Turbo 601 card, and it works. We've tested it. Very special card, very sought after, and very expensive if you find one on eBay. So this was in our collection that we found, and I'm very happy to report that that card is in fact working. So Turbo 601 card, very valuable. Those things are great. What's next in our tickle trunk here? We've got some actual boxes. Oh, what in the world is this? I don't know what this is. Let's have a look. Back to the card cam. This looks like it is... Oh, okay. This is fun. It just simply says, you can see on the card there, LC2 68882. So what this is it's just a little LC PDS card, and it gives your LC2 a math coprocessor. So the 68882, that's a Motorola math coprocessor. This one's clocked at 16 megahertz. So that's kind of cool. I didn't know we had that. That's new to me. So those of you wanting to speed up your LC2 to give it a math coprocessor, just throw this card in here and you're good to go. We're not going to test it tonight, but we will test it later. It looks very clean. It looks like it's maybe never been used. I don't know. Math coprocessor card for an LC2. Let's keep going here. What is this? Okay. Back to the card cam. What's in the tickle trunk, Craig? Let's find out. Drum roll. Ka-ching! This is like a Dora the Explorer. Do you know which card this is? Do you know what it's for? Hooray! You got it right. This is, if I'm not mistaken, and it looks like it might need recapping. This is an HPV, or this is a video card for a 71 or 8100. And I can tell because of the DB15 connector on here. And also, this is a neat video card because you can add your own VRAM. So when you put RAM in these slots, you can actually increase the resolution and bit depth of this card. And I think you can put 4 megs into this card, if I'm not mistaken. Might be 2. I think it could be 4. So we'll have to test that later. This is 1993. So this is the first year that the 6100, 7100, and 8100 Power Max came out. So that is a pretty interesting card. Very excited about testing that and seeing if that wants to behave itself. We have a couple 8100s we can test that in. Great stuff. It looks like it's okay, but it may need recapping. I'll have to get Keith to take a look at that and see if those caps are corroding at all. All right, so let's keep going into the tickle trunk. What is next on our agenda? Okay, this looks interesting. Back to the card cam, everybody. What do we have here? Oh, we got some cobwebs. There's some dust bunnies. This is an Asante Tech Asante Fast 10100 Ethernet card. You can see that written right there, 10100. We've got our RJ45 connector here, and we've also got some indicator lights for 10100 transmission. Yeah, it says Asante Fast on the side. This is what looks like a NuBus card. Yeah, it says NuBus right on it. So this is a NuBus Ethernet card for an older Mac that does not have Ethernet built into it. Whoa, dust bunnies. Everybody, yikes. We might have even pulled that out of dust bunnies. Fun times. So Asante Fast 10100 Ethernet card. Looks pretty clean. Might need recapping, but we will probably test that in our 8100 as well. You're tuned in to Pick a Card, Any Card, the episode of Computer Compulsive, our live stream, where we are going through some of the cards that we picked up in our massive haul from February. Oh, and there's some screws in the corner here too. Just to, when you're putting NuBus cards in, you want to use screws to hold them in place so they're not wiggling around. All right, what's next in the Tickle Trunk report here? Oh my goodness. Okay. Actually, I think what's in here, it might have come from a lot that we got before we found the big collection. This is, let's go back to the card cam. You'll be amused at this. This thing is very large, and there's lots of chips on here. This is crazy. The other thing we realize is this is a NuBus card, but you'll see it's a double-decker NuBus card. And why is it a double-decker card, you say? Well, let's look at the end and find out. Look, everybody, this is a high-speed SCSI connector. What's a high-speed SCSI connector doing on this card? Well, I'll tell you why, and thanks for asking. This card is part of another series of cards that we have, and I'm going to wait until I actually find it, and then I'll tell you why this is important. But this is a double-decker card, and I see Super Mac on here. You can see Super Mac hiding inside there. So Super Mac made video cards, video capture cards, as well as some other peripherals. Let's put that aside for now, and we'll come back to that in just a minute. It's a massive NuBus card, kind of a double-decker. We'll go through that in just a second. When I find the other card, I'll explain to you why it's important. What's next? We've got some of the stuff I've let's go back to the other angle. Some of the stuff I've never seen before, so I'm just kind of surprised as you are. CardCam says, oh, this is totally separate from that. Let me put this aside for a second. What's in here? Back to the CardCam. It looks like we have, oh, look everybody, it's an Airport Extreme card. What does an Airport Extreme card do, you might say? Well, it is used for wireless communications as well as Bluetooth in some cases. So that, I don't know if that goes in a G5 or a Mac Mini. I think it's a G5 or maybe a G4. Anyway, it is an Airport Extreme card, and the Airport Extreme card actually comes out of here. You can pull it out. So that's interesting. We'll have to check that out later in a different machine. Let's put that back in the bag. Keith has a great job of making sure all these cards are in anti-static bags. so they don't get destroyed. You don't want static killing some of the components on these cards. Not a good idea. Let's go back to that one we had a second ago. Where did that disappear to? Oh, sorry, I'm kind of confused here. Back to the card cam. What's in here? Aha. We actually have a whole bunch of these. I've got a whole bunch of these before we even got this lot. A friend of mine in Manitoba had part of a school board, and they had a whole bunch of stuff they were giving. So I actually have 9 of these things. This is an LC Ethernet card. You can tell by the LC connector here, and then you've got the RJ45 on the outside. So if you had an LC series machine, this card would allow you to get on the internet or connect to other computers. Oh, back to the card cam. Should point out there's a socket here. Remember that 68882 card that we saw? This socket here is for a 68882. So not only does this Ethernet card give you some connectivity, you can add a 68882 to make your LC a little bit faster. So Farallon LC card, Ethernet. Don't leave home without it. If you're using a vintage Mac and you want to get online, having an Ethernet connection is a good idea, and that's one way to do it. You can also use a Blue SCSI V2 and actually get your computer wirelessly, which is kind of crazy. There's not a lot of websites that can handle old protocols, but you can do like FTP and using fetch and using other protocols to communicate with other computers. So an LC Ethernet card, that's cool. What's next here? Oh yeah, this is pretty ripping cool. What's in here? Back to the card cam. This is something that Keith acquired, and I'm pretty jazzed to try this thing out. This is a little bit bonkers. In Japan, there's a company called Interware, and they made a whole bunch of expansion cards for Macs. They made video cards, they made accelerator cards, video capture cards, all kinds of craziness. So what's interesting on this card, you'll notice, is it has 4 crystals on it. That's wild. And you can see this is VDR-2G version 1.03. And see these little slabs here. This is some of the video RAM. And we've got an Interware processor here. We've got a RAM DAC over here. This video card apparently is nuts. From my understanding, I think you can do 1024 by 768 by millions of colors. And you can see there's the DB15 connector here. So I'm thinking might hook this up to my LC475 and see what sort of resolution we can pull out of it. You've also got these cool little standoffs here that protect it from damaging the logic board when it's resting on it. So that is a pretty cool card. It's an Interware VDR-2G version 1.03-1. You could probably find a newer ROM and maybe substitute it if you've had one. 1991. So yeah, looking forward to testing this out. This is going to be a very interesting thing. You could put this into like an LC575 too, maybe. Check that out. It'd be nice to have an external video, but then you lose the ability to hook up an Apple IIe card or an Ethernet card if you're trying to do those sorts of things. It'd be neat if there was room for like an LC PDS switcher, but there's usually not enough room to do that. So that's a kick butt LC LC series video card. I think it doesn't, I don't know if it works in original LCs, but it will work in newer ones. So we'll be taking a look at that in another video. What have we got here? Oh, this is the one I had from before when I pulled out that airport card. Back to the card cam. This looks like, at first glance, this looks like a video card for a G5 or the Cube. We've got an ADC connector here, which is cool, and then we have a DVI connector here. Let's see if there's any description on here. It says NVIDIA. Oh, this thing's probably going to need some serious recapping by the looks of things. It looks rather dated. Not sure what model this is. It'd be nice if it said. Doesn't really come right out and tell you. It is an NVIDIA card, so I'm curious about the amount of video RAM this has. If you're trying to run the studio display, like the one behind me here, that big studio display behind me, that requires 32 megs of VRAM, otherwise you can't use it. The smaller displays I don't think require it, but anyway, this is a video card for either a G4 or G5, and it might even work in the Cube. So be interesting to plug that in and see how much VRAM it has. Could double check some of the model numbers on it and figure that out. So anyway, it's a video card with an ADC connector. The ADC connector also works with the 17-inch Diamondtron ADC Studio CRT that Apple made with the Mitsubishi Diamondtron tube. It's absolutely beautiful. I've got one in my garage, and a fun story about that, it was going to be thrown out as well. A friend of mine rescued it in Montreal, brought it all the way to Calgary. We both drive Teslas, and so we're on this user group, and he saw that I was sharing all this Mac stuff. He said, "Hey, I got this monitor, do you want it?" And I'm like, "Heck yes, I do." So he gave it to me, and I tested it, and it worked. Someone was throwing it out. The only bad part was it didn't have the base and the rings. But guess what? Keith found an eBay listing for the base and the ring, so I bought that. I've got them in a box. I haven't installed it yet. I am going to get my CRT tech to rebuild the Diamondtron because it's, like I said, it's one of the nicest CRTs that Apple ever made. And it looks amazing. It's got this translucent bulb on the back. For those of you who are familiar, you know how beautiful it looks. All right, let's put that away. We'll continue with our Christmas bucket here. There's a lot of stuff in here. Yikes. I don't even know where to begin. Let's see what this is all about here. Back to the card cam. What do we got here? All right. So this is an Apple Ethernet card. Twisted pair, and it has it's a new bus card, so you can tell by the amount of pins that's a new bus card. It basically says Apple Ethernet at the top there, and we've got our RJ45 as well as indicator light. So just a standard new bus Ethernet interface. We can check that out in our 8100 or some of our other new bus machines. I think we've got a Centrus 650 we could use for that. So a couple of Ethernet cards. Some of them are new bus, some of them are LC. Next on the list is, what's happening here? This looks like it's a multi-layer type thing, or there's just two cards in one bag. Oh yes, this. Okay. Got to figure this thing out. This was also part of our lot. Sorry, everybody. This is another Interware card, but it's not your standard new bus card or anything. What it is it's a TV tuner card. So some Macs had a TV tuner slot, and you could just plug in your VCR or your video game thing into here, and then you could pull the video from your external source into your Mac. The only question I have is what happens with this cable and where does it go to talk to the logic board? So this is an Interware TV tuner card. It's difficult to find info on this stuff on the internet because it's so old and Interware is no longer a company. But I'm hoping I can get this to work in one of our 6000 series machines. We've got several of them. So Interware TV tuner card, very peculiar and interesting. We'll put that aside for a second. And what else is in here? Looks like another Ethernet card. Okay, so we've got a Farallon new bus Ethernet card as well. So on this Ethernet card, we've got the DB15 connector, and we've got the RJ45, as well as an LED light here. So just another standard new bus Ethernet card. We'll test that out later, but those are useful for older Macs that don't have built-in Ethernet. So new bus Ethernet cards again, as well as that interesting TV tuner card. Really want to get that working, but we got to figure out how to hook it up first. What else do we have in here? Back to the card cam. I don't know. Oh wow. This is like opening up stuff out of your Christmas stocking is what this is. This is pretty crazy rare. So, guess what this is, folks? This is a Z80 card for the Apple III. And I'm going to tell you right now, pretty rare. And what's even funnier about this is I think we have more than one of these. So you can see there, it says Apple Computer and Microsoft on the same card. That's not something you see every day, is it? So you can see here there's a metal kind of bracket on the end, and it feels like feels a little dicey. But anyway, on the end, this is kind of cool. You can see the Apple III font there. And you can see the Soft Card 3 bracket at the bottom telling you what it is. This card is very special. Soft Card 3 by Microsoft. Copyright 1982. So for those of you not familiar, Z80 cards, Z80 machines were very popular in the early 80s, and not all Apples ran them. You'd had to get a Z80 card to put into the machine to actually run it. So this card goes in an Apple III, which we happen to have one behind me here. We've got our Apple III over here. It needs a reefa capacitor changed because last time I had it on, it was smelling like fish down here. Once the reefa cap explodes, it smells really bad, so I want to prevent that from happening. So this is very cool. Microsoft soft card. That's pretty rare. So it's going to take some effort to test that, but it looks to me like it should work. There's no real capacitors on here that look like they've leaked. So I'm going to assume that it works. Who knows? Z80 card for the Apple III. That's wild. Let's keep on going here. What on earth is this? Oh, okay. Back to the card cam, everybody. For those of you unaware, this is Marcintosh, and this is where people really focus on their projects for their Macs and what they've been up to. Here at Computer Compulsive, we're focused on creating content and also just for other Apple enthusiasts. This looks interesting. This is it's another new bus card. You'll notice it's got a black socket on it, which is interesting. But it's also got this wild little dongle. Why is that, you say? Well, if you look at, how do you pop this off if you're, oh. Yeah. Okay, this is, sorry about that. This is an AAUI connector. It's a form of Ethernet before Ethernet was sort of standardized. And so what this little dongle does is this converts the AAUI interface to the RJ45 interface. So it's kind of kludgy, but you notice it's actually got an Apple logo on it, which is fun. And in my collection, I've actually got one of these that acts as a switch. It's got the AAUI, and then it's got 4 ports, 1 for the input and then upstream and 3 for the downstream. So that's kind of cool. So this is an Ethernet card, and the Ethernet card has AAUI output, and then we use this dongle to convert it to standard Ethernet. So we can test that into in some of our other Ethernet, or sorry, NuBus Macs like the 8100 or the Centris. So that's the first time I've seen that. Again, we collected so many things, it was just very difficult to see, for both of us to see everything all the time. You're watching Computer Compulsive, and this is Pick a Card, Any Card. My name is Craig, and we're just kind of going through a whole bunch of the expansion cards that we got in our massive haul from November. So thank you for tuning in. If you're not watching it live, you can watch afterwards. Let's keep going through these cards and see what else we have. Card Cam says, what is this? Oh, cool. Okay, this is a, looks like we got ourselves Macintosh display card, 1990-91, Apple computer. You can see at the bottom there. So this is a NuBus card. It's rather large, and it's got the standard DB15 on the outside here. So I think this is a color card. I'm pretty sure it is. This is cool. Assembled in USA. Look at that. Hooray! We could make some political comments right now, but I'll just say it's interesting that this card was assembled in USA and not just designed there. So this is a NuBus video card. And okay, so fun fact here, folks. I'm curious about all these solder points here. Check this out. See what those are? So on this video card, it looks like there could be 2 DIMM slots, because see these little white lines here? Those white lines are where a locking socket would go to hold a DIMM in place. So be very curious if you installed 2 DIMM sockets on these solder joints and added RAM to this card. I'm very curious about what that would do if you could increase your color depth or resolution, but that's definitely what those points are for. So those solder points right there, those are definitely for RAM expansion is what that is. And it's interesting that they're not populated. So it might be interesting to go online and find out if anybody else has tried expanding the memory for this. So for those of you who are really keen, this is 820-0600-A Macintosh display card. So we'd have to plug this into a NuBus computer, hook up a monitor, and just see what kind of resolution we get. But I'm super curious about adding RAM to this to see what could happen. So there you have it. That's a pretty substantial video card for the Mac NuBus interface. Like I said, it might be neat if Keith and I found some SIM sockets and put them on here and then added some VRAM to see what the before and after. That could be a really cool video. Apple computer, 1986 to 91, all rights reserved. Interesting. There's a few caps on here, but it doesn't look like it's corroded at all. So that's pretty neat. Pretty hefty video card there from Apple. We'll see if that card wants to work when we have some time. What else do we have in here? Oh, wow. This is crazy. Let's go to the card cam. Guess what, everybody? We've got another Apple III card. And this is very exciting because before we found this collection, I really didn't know anything about an Apple III, like nothing. And I don't know a lot more now, but I'm getting more familiar with some of the peripherals we have. Look at this. Okay, so Universal Parallel Printer Interface, Apple III up at the top. And look, there's a little bracket blocking off some of the pins here, which is interesting. So it says 40 and then 20. So I don't know if that's 40 columns or 20 columns. I don't know what the heck's going on with that. We got a switch here for printer line feed, auto or normal. Little toggle switch. There's a spare IC slot up here. We got some 74L controller cards. Apple III Universal Parallel Interface. So this card is for hooking up a printer. And I think this might even be the card that, I don't know if this works with the silent type. We have a silent type printer, which is amazing. My brother had a silent type printer when we were growing up, and it doesn't make any noise because it just thermally transfers the picture onto the roll of paper. So look at that, folks. Apple III printer card. 1981. It says in the back, made in Singapore this time. That's interesting. So we have some Apple III cards here that are probably on the rare side. I can't remember if we've done some eBay checking on those. We do have multiple cards for the Apple III because we have 3 Apple III systems, believe it or not. All right, what's next in the tickle trunk? We've got... Back to the card cam. Well, it looks like we have another LC Ethernet card. How do you get this thing out of here? Yeah, so it's just standard LC Ethernet card by Apple. It does have the native RJ45 connector on the side and the indicator light for activity. So that's cool. And we got the little standoff here to protect it from banging around. It looks like this one either broke or got lost because this one's taller. Nonetheless, you don't really need the standoff, but it's nice to have at least one. So an LC Ethernet card, again, that's the second one we have of that. I do have a whole bunch of those myself in case anyone's interested. So between our haul and the ones that I have, I think we've got like a good 12 or 13 Ethernet cards for the LC. We haven't tested them all yet, but I don't see any reason why they would not work. But anyhow, LC Ethernet card. What else is in here? Oh, okay, I know what this is. Back to the card cam. This is another, I think it's an Apple III card. And the reason I say that is, well, actually, I don't know if it's Apple III or not, but I do know that this plugs into the silent type because the silent type has the weird DB9 pin connector on it. So this card is what talks to the silent type printer. We should actually put this with the printer, but we just don't want it to get banged up. So you can see it's got some more 74LS controller chips on it, and it's also got some RAM on it, which is interesting. 1979, check that out. So this card is like 1979, and over here it says Sync Printer Interface Card. Very old, but I know that this talks to the silent type. So it might be interesting to hook this up to an Apple II and see if it works, because this was in our Apple III. So I think the silent type is not platform specific. You can hook it up to any Apple that you want. But that is the printer card for the silent type printer. So we'll take a look at our silent type printer in another video. I did see it the other day. It's in one of our storage buckets. Silent type is fun. Thermal printers, they have these rolls, and then the thing just gently thermally transfers the image onto the roll of paper. It's very interesting. What in the world is the, oh my gosh, look at this. Are you ready for this? Y'all ready for this? Oh, look at that. Microsoft Premium Soft Card 2E. That is screwed up. Oh, look at this. Super high res on off. There's a jumper for super high res. I wonder what that means exactly. So look everybody, it's a Z80 chip. They don't make these anymore. So this Z80 is the Premium Soft Card 2E. There's a crystal on here. How fast is the crystal? 12 megahertz. Okay, so that means that the card might be going at 6 megahertz. Look at that, folks. That's wild. Microsoft Premium Soft Card 2E. I'll bet you that we probably got documentation for this in our thing somewhere as well too. And look, it says copyright 1983. Microsoft Premium Soft Card 2E. Don't know what the premium means, but I'm guessing it might have something to do with the super high res. It's probably got some of its own RAM inside of it, judging by the size of this card. Yeah, that's pretty wild. And over here on the back, you'll notice it says designed by Bertronics. I don't know what the heck Bertronics means. But anyway, that's pretty fascinating. So this is apparently supposed to go in a 2E. So if you're going to run Z80 software, this would be a good place to start. Premium soft card. Not just an average soft card, but premium soft card. So we'll have to look up some documentation on that if we don't already have it and find out what can be done with that. Again, so many cards. That's why we've entitled the broadcast, Pick a Card, Any Card. Perhaps some of you are interested in some of these cards and would like to purchase them. We would test them first and make sure that they work. But let us know in the comments if you are interested in any of these items. All right, what's next? We got a whole bunch more stuff in here that's kind of all over the map. Okay, back to the card cam. Oh, this is a processor card for a 7000 or 8000 series. This might have been the one that Keith took out of one of our machines. 820-0611A. This is the heatsink. So this could be a 603 or a 604. I'm not sure what's in here. But it is a processing card. Let's see on the back here. Anything? Doesn't really tell me anything, but it is a processing card. I can tell you that much. As to which machine it lives in or where it's from, we'd have to look up the model number and double check. Anyway, that's a processor card for a 7 or 8000 series machine, like an 7200, 8500, not sure. All right, processor card. That's the first time we've seen one of those. There might be more of those in the bucket where we're looking at. Oh my goodness, there's a whole bag of stuff here. Oh, is this what I think it is? This might be what I think it is. Back to the card cam, and card cam says oh, this is so cool. This is a COM slot Ethernet card. Now, the question is it COM slot 1 or COM slot 2? I happen to have another one of these over here. Let's compare the two and see if they're different. Okay, so we just know this is different. So this is a COM slot 2, and this is COM slot 1, it looks like. They're both Apple cards, but you can tell the difference. So one of these is for a COM slot 1 machine, and the other one's a COM slot 2. COM slot 2s are cool because you can use them in the 575. All right, so we have a COM slot 1 Ethernet card. That is fun. Now, I can't remember which machines use COM slot 1, but that could be useful for an older Mac that you want to put some Ethernet activity onto. Very fun, lots of connectivity cards here. And what is this? It's Christmas here at Computer Compulsive. We're checking out all the expansion cards that we got in our recent haul in November. What in the world is this? Oh, I don't even know what this is. Wow, that's weird. It says here, Apple Computer Workstation card. What's a workstation card? I don't know. It says 1986-87. It is for an Apple II, I can tell you that. It says 1988 on this chip here. Oh, it says Zilog Z85. That's interesting. What's on the back of this thing? Workstation card. Do not know what a workstation card is. If any of you know, please put in the comments. We're going to have to do some research on that. Looks interesting though. Looks like it might do something. There's some interesting jumper pins on the bottom. I don't know where those are supposed to go, but could be interesting. Anyway, workstation card. It's obviously an Apple II based card. Looking at the connector on the side. Put that away and we'll check out the rest of our collections. Aha. All right, remember that big card that we saw early in the broadcast? Well, I found the card that it goes with. Let's go to the card cam. Ding, 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 ding. Holy cow. Digital film, studio in a box, Super Mac. What in the world is going on here? All right, so back in the day when you were trying to do video editing, oh, jeepers, all my cards are going flying. That's okay. Digital film studio in a box was a system Super Mac came up with, and what it is it's heavy-duty video processing. And look at this. This is the breakout connector for the box that goes with it. There's a box that has video ins, outs, audio ins and outs. We do not have that box. I think there's some folks who do have an extra one out there. We did try plugging this into our 8100. I don't know that we were able to get it to work, or if it just wasn't happy that there was no breakout box connected. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is because if this card here does all the heavy lifting for video processing, the other card that I showed you is the SCSI card that goes with this card. So when you have the digital film studio in a box, there's a SCSI card that goes with it that feeds data in and out of the computer very quickly, because when you're video editing, you're pushing a lot of pixels and a lot of information down the pipe pretty quickly. So this is the matching card that goes with that other SCSI card. We might need to get the breakout box to properly test this. Not sure how possible that would be. It'd be neat to take this card, put it in our old Power Mac 8100 and actually do some video editing with it. I don't know if it had its own software or if you used Premiere or what. But Digital Film Studio in a Box was a video editing system developed by Super Mac in Sunnyvale, California in the early 90s, 92, 93 it looks like. So, would like to test that card a little more, but I'm wondering if we need the breakout box to actually do that successfully. Coming up next on Pick a Card, Any Card. This is ridiculous. CardCam says, look at this. This is wild. Apple III main memory card. Wow. That's all I have to say is wow. So when you're dealing with the Apple III, there was different configurations of memory in the Apple III. The Apple III, the plain Jane Apple III, you could have 64, 128, or 256 kilobytes of RAM. On the Apple III Plus, you could have 128, 256, or 512. So this, Keith told me we had this, but I forgot because I've actually never seen it. This is an Apple III main memory card, and it lives inside of the machine. It's got these weird, I don't know, like, I guess these side rails is how it talks to the rest of the computer because there's no other connectors on this card. So 1980, look at that, Apple 1980. This is an Apple III main memory card. I'm not sure how much RAM is in this thing, but look, you can see, this is fun. These chips are actually older ceramic chips based on the purple color I'm seeing here. So we would have to take some pictures of the stickers on here and see what these are. And then there's more chips on the bottom. So when we're dealing with the, apparently old Apple IIIs had a problem with memory in that sometimes the RAM chips would actually pop out of their sockets, and if they popped out of the sockets, it would cause errors and the machine wouldn't run. Apparently, I've been told that to solve this, dealers would take the Apple III and just drop it on the counter so that the chips would reseat themselves. So I don't know if this card sits like this in the Apple III or if it sits like, I'm not totally sure because I didn't take this out of here. And I don't know if this was even out of the computer or in the computer. I don't know. We've got 3 Apple IIIs. So we might have to open all 3 of them up and just see, like, is there more of these cards inside? Or was this an expansion card? Or is this the main? Like, what's going on here exactly? So if you're going to put 512 kilobytes of memory inside of an Apple III, would you have to add all these chips here? So not sure what's going on there. But that is an Apple III main memory card. We got so many Apple III cards. It's just crazy. And I've got more behind me. I can see them already. There's a whole bunch of Apple III cards that we haven't even looked at yet. If you're an Apple III collector, this should be very interesting to you because we have 3 of them and we have all kinds of cards that we picked up from it. All right, let's continue the late night Saturday night live broadcast of Computer Compulsive. Pick a card, any card. All right, what's going on in here? Phew. Again, no idea. Let's go with the card cam. Xebec Systems XEBEC Apple Host Adapter. I don't know what that's for. But we have all these wild pins on the outside. So if any of you folks know what this is for, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. We'll have to look up what Xebec is, XEBEC. Some of the chips on here, 74 LS chips. Don't know what this does. Haven't got a clue. But let's have a look at the other card in here. Oh, this looks like a Apple II GS memory expansion. is what this is. Why is that there? Okay, that's weird. So on the, there's like a daisy chain thing here. So we've got these pins here, but then we've also got another socket here. So I don't know if you can daisy chain these together or what. But we do have all these RAM chips are populated. So these are all different pieces of RAM. So be very curious to see when you plug this into a 2GS, how much RAM does it actually give you? Very interesting. This is a RAM expansion card for the Apple 2GS. So I'll have to plug this into a 2GS and see how much it adds to the RAM before and after to know exactly how big it is. So lots of RAM chips there for an Apple 2GS RAM expansion. And we've got this weird ZBEC interface thing for something. Don't know what that is. This GS RAM expansion is interesting though. I want to check that out later. See how that increases your RAM expansion. And we have like multiple cards in the bag here. So this is kind of a grab bag. Let's go ahead and see what's in here. What? Wow. This looks like I don't know if it's a printer card or what it is. It says Epson on it, so I'm assuming it's for a printer unless it's for something else. It's definitely an Apple II card based on the pins here. Okay, we'll have to do some more homework on that. APL board, HCN PCB 140. I don't know what this does. It says Epson on it though, so I'm assuming it has something to do with printing. Set that aside. Let's take a look in here. Oh, this is cool. I was going to say, does this work? This is a Disk 2 interface card. So for an Apple II, you use this to connect Disk 2 peripherals. The only problem with this is that there's no key on here. So if some people plug their floppy drives in wrong, and then they actually burn out the chips on the card because there's no key. Someone on the internet, I can't remember where, we'll maybe look up the link later. Someone came up with a 3D print that you wrap around here, and it has the key on the 3D print, so you never get confused. So this is a Disk 2 interface card. Look at that, 1978. And look, tested working. Keith and I labeled it, so we know that this card is good. It also says made in Singapore, which is interesting. Let's see what else is in here. Oh yeah, this is fun. I remember seeing this before. Look at this. Would you like a clock for your Apple II? Well, check out this Thunder Clock Plus card. And look, it's got a remote battery holder. So in case your battery blows up, it doesn't destroy your card. So you can see here the battery holders would normally be here, but they just ran extension wires over to this crazy little thing. So you put two AA's in here, and then your Apple II will keep track of what time it is. So this is a clock card before computers remembered what time it was all the time. You see, kids, back in the day, computers didn't know what time it was, and you had to put a card into the computer to say, hey, remember what time it is? Yeah, you do, because I put the AA batteries in, and you know what you're doing. So back to the card cam here, you can see here 1980, 1981 on the Thunderware card, Thunder Clock Plus. So all this card does is it keeps track of what time it is. 1980. Wow. That's fun. And what do we got here? Oh, I know what this is. This is an Apple IIe expansion card. So when the Apple II and II Plus came out, if you wanted to put memory expansions in, it was a little more complicated. The IIe came with a memory expansion slot, but you'll see here, it also did two things. It also was an 80 column card. So this gave your Apple IIe an additional 64K of memory and gave it native 80 column card capability. Again, for those youngsters out there, in the early days, you would have 40 columns across, and when this card came out, it made it so there was 80 columns across, so you get more information on the screen. Not a big deal to us, but back in the day, this was revolutionary. So that's actually a really small card. You can get, there's bigger versions of this card. This is the smallest one. So this adds 64 kilobytes of memory to your Apple IIe, which already has 64, which brought it up to 128. And this card also gave you 80 columns of display resolution, which was cool. So we'll have to check our Apple IIe collection and see which ones might be missing this. You can't just plug this into a Plus. It doesn't work that way. It has to be a IIe to begin with. So we got IIe 80 column card, 64K RAM expansion. We got our Disk 2 interface card, which is working. We tested it. And then we've got this weird Epson. It's got this weird connector on it. Look, it's like these spring-loaded connectors. So I'm not even sure what kind of connector that is. I'll have to do more homework on that later. And we've got this wild thunder clock. We're keeping track of time. Throw some batteries in that and see if we can make an really old Apple II Plus remember what time it is. All right, what's next in our bucket of goodies? Ho, 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 ho. Let's just get this out of the way right now. Oh, these are one of my favorites. Going back to the card cam. This is the Super Serial Card. What's a Super Serial Card, you may ask? Well, thank you for asking. The nice thing about this Super Serial Card is it came with the breakout cable. So the breakout cable has a DB25 connector on it, and the DB25 connector lets you hook up a modem or a printer depending on the status of these dip switches. So you could tell this card, hey, you're a modem card, click, 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 or you're a printer card, click, 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 click. So this card behaved as an interface for your modem or your printer, and that's why it's called the Super Serial Card. And it says Super Serial Card 2. So I don't know if there's a difference. Maybe the Super Serial Card 1 wasn't as capable. Not totally sure. But this is a Super Serial Card. These are sought after. And even what's more sought after is this little breakout cable, which is cool. You could probably make your own, but the fact that it's already here is quite nice. Super Serial Card 1981. Very cool. Let's see what else is going on in here. I don't remember if Keith was speaking for this, or I don't know. It's already got a card in it. This is wild. This is a compact flash interface card, CFFA version 1.2. And the neat thing about this card, let's go to the card cam here. Sorry, I've got to show you the actual card. This is a CFFA card, very highly sought after. And it has a compact flash interface here. And you can hook up an IDE interface to yet another card over here. I don't know a lot about these cards, but I know that they're sought after because 64 megabytes, you could have two 32 meg smart port devices at your fingertips at any time, including instant replay or GSOS or something like that. So yeah, I don't know if we have more than one of these or if we just have the one. We have 1.3 firmware on here, and look, it says you can have 4 drives connected or 8 drives. I'm not sure how all this works. It's pretty crazy. But this thing, I think, emulates floppy drives and hard drives. I think that's why this card is so sought after. So anyways, that is the CFFA card. Pretty hip card. They're expensive to buy them. We need to test it and make sure it works, which we haven't done yet. And what else is in here? This is a... Oh yeah. I believe we've got documentation for this. This is a computerized Digital Vision Incorporated card. And if I'm not mistaken, this is... I don't know what... I think it might be an overlay, a video overlay card. I'll have to do some more research on this. But there's 3 cables coming off of here, and I think they're for video input and output. So yeah, computerized Digital Vision. I think it's for the Apple II GS. Not, yeah, it says computerized 2GS on the back here. So this is for the 2GS specifically, and it does some kind of video overlay thing. If I'm not mistaken, we've got some documentation on it. And you can also see, this is interesting, it's got some potentiometers on it. So I don't know what these are for, but maybe you could adjust like the red, the green, or the blue by twisting these things here. And there's some more pots over here. So computerized Digital Vision card, that's a 2GS specific card there. And I think we've got some manuals for that, and there might even be some discs. So anyway, we're finding all sorts of cool goodies in here. Lots of crazy cards that I think are pretty sought after. A Super Serial card is, I think we've got multiples of that. So, keep things moving here. It is 1:20 in the morning, Mountain Standard Time. But that's okay, because I can do what I want at night and no one interrupts me. It's wonderful. You're tuned into a live stream of Marcintosh Computer Compulsive. We're calling this broadcast Pick a Card, Any Card, because we're taking a look at some of the cards that came in our massive haul we picked up in November. Let's keep looking. Oh, wow. So many cards, so little time. What is going on in here? Oh, yeah. This is bringing back some memories now. Card Cam says Micromodem 2. All right, so a fun story with this. It's interesting that this capacitor is pointing downwards, because if you try to plug that in, it might break it. I don't like that sticking up like that. Okay, this is a very special card to me, and I'll tell you why. When I was a kid, my dad bought an Apple II, and one of the things I wanted to do was to be able to log into bulletin board systems. And in order to do that, your computer needed a modem. What this did was this put a modem right inside of your Apple II. There was a breakout connector that went with this, and I think it plugs into these pins here. I don't know if we have that breakout thing here. I don't know if that pin is broken. But it'd be really cool to find the breakout box that this hooks up to and actually like see if you could call into a bulletin board system. I don't even know if they still exist right now, but Micromodem 2, I had one of these as a kid, and I asked my parents if they would get a separate phone line, because if someone picked up the phone, you'd hear all the and that would interrupt the carrier signal, and then boom, your information that you were downloading or uploading would be cut off. So the Micromodem 2 was a Hayes microcomputer product. It consisted of a card and a breakout box that you'd hook your phone line into. And you could type in AT commands, and you could tell it to dial this number, and it was pretty magical. So back in the day, to get connected to other people, you needed something like this. And so this is super cool. I would love to test this more. It says 1981 on it. We'll have to check that out later and see if it wants to behave itself. What do we got here? Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the card cam again. We got another super serial card, but you'll notice this time we don't have the breakout cable. So we'd have to either make another cable, find the ribbon connectors, and wire it up ourselves. But nonetheless, a second super serial card 2. So it's the same as the one that we just looked at. That is exciting. Oh yes, I remember this too. Keith and I were looking information about this. Titan Technologies 128K RAM board. Wow. It's fully populated. It's got all the chips on it. If you plug this into an Apple II, I'm guessing you would get an extra 128K of RAM. So you could have like a RAM disk. You could run programs inside of the RAM disk and make it very fast. What's fun about this is we've actually got the matching serial number for the registration card. Perhaps we should mail this in. Look at that, everybody. Matching serial number for the Titan Technologies RAM board registration. So if we plug that into one of our Apples, we could do a diagnostic and check to see if we've actually got an additional 128. So if you put this in an Apple IIe, technically you should have 256 megs or kilobytes of RAM. I keep saying megabytes, that's not quite right. So that's the Titan Technologies RAM expansion 128K. Very interesting. We'll put this card back in here. It's fun when people keep the original cards and documentation with these cards just to prove that they're actually that old. Super serial card, we'll put that back in the micro modem 2. Put that back in there as well. Whoa. All right, we are on our way. What the heck is happening? All right, folks, this is a bit of a hodgepodge here. There's a whole bunch of cards in here, so I'm just going to pull them out one at a time. Let's go to the card cam once again. First card we're pulling out is tra-la-la-la-la-la. What in the world is this? New Auto 80C. Okay, so my question is, what are these things for? So maybe this is an advanced 80 column card, and this is the video in and video out. I think there was a Videx 80 column card as well, which we had one of our Apple II Pluses that had a whole bunch of cards in it, but I don't know what all the cards were for. So I'm not entirely sure what this card does. We'll need to do some more research on that. If any of you know what it's for, please let us know. That would be great. And what do we have here? Well, it looks to me like it's another, it's a Z80 card, folks. We got another Zilog Z80 here. So this is an actual Microsoft Z80 card, but you'll notice it's not like the premium one we had before. It doesn't have as many chips on it. So that's interesting. So we have a Microsoft Z80 card here for an Apple II, it looks like. We're going to have to figure out how to test those at some point and figure out what it is we're doing. What in the world is this? I don't remember this at all. Mountain Computer Incorporated. What? Multifunction. What does multifunction mean? Maybe it's like a super serial card or something? I don't know. Oh, look at this. It's got, it looks like one of those clock things. Maybe this keeps track of your clock and is a modem card and is an 80 column. There's a little pot over here. What's that for? And then this cable, was that a printer cable? What is that? I gotta look this up right now. Just give me 1 second. I'm I'm completely baffled by this. Multifunction. Okay, I found the manual online. Let's see if I can share this. Display. Okay, I'm just going to try adding the input so we can take a look at this together. This is pretty interesting. Input. Display one on Craig's MacBook Pro. All right, we're going to switch to another input here for just a second, just so we know what we're doing. Okay, so we have a CPS multifunction card, 1982, that's right. Checking the batteries, preparing the diskette, plugging in phantom slot select, 16-pin oh, okay, parallel hookup guide, Centronics printer. Oh, look at this. So you can hook this thing up to a whole bunch of different weird printers. Visidex clock patch, CPS card diskette. We'd have to find that somewhere. Date and time, analog clock, CPS lister, basic pro software commands, parallel port, serial port, the clock, phantom slots. What is that? Terminal mode, video display. Okay, wow, this is crazy. So this is like an 80 column card and a serial card and a printer card and all kinds of things going on. Isn't it amazing that we've actually found the manual for this? Phantom slot select. Slot enable disable jumper at the bottom of the card. I don't know what a phantom slot's for, but anyways. Apple main board. Card device location. Anyways, there's a lot of info here, but we'll take a look at that later. I just wanted to see. I wanted to show you that we could actually find information on that card. So that card is like a super serial card with a clock with a whole bunch of other crazy things going on with it. That is super interesting, but let's keep moving here, otherwise we'll get caught up with that forever. Back to the card cam, which is here. Look, remember that Apple III printer card that we found? Well, guess what? We have another one. Oh, and interesting, the pin blocks are down at the bottom this time instead of up top. Universal Parallel Printer Interface. We should put all the Apple III cards together because they really should be together. And that spare IC socket is still spare here. So this is our second Apple III Universal Parallel Interface. I'm imagining this is for hooking up to printers because of this printer line feed switch here. So it'd be interesting to hook this up to an Image Writer 2 if that's even possible. I don't know if it is because image writers are serial, I think. I don't know if they're parallel. Anyway, I do have an Epson printer in the garage that might work with this, but we've got another Apple III printer card, which is wild. You're watching Computer Compulsive, Pick a Card, Any Card. We've been going through all the different cards that Keith and I picked up in November. We've been looking at super serial cards, Microsoft Z80 cards, Apple III RAM cards and printer cards. There's a lot of cards happening, and that's why we've entitled this broadcast, Pick a Card, Any Card. We're coming up to an hour and a half of the broadcast. If you are bored about cards or sick of them, too bad, there's more coming. We got a few more boxes in here too we're going to go through. It's one thing to have cool cards, but it's another thing to have the original boxes for them, and you're going to see that just shortly. So we have another bag of cards here. I'm going to pull this out and we will see what's going on here. Switching back to the card cam. What is this? Okay. I do not know what this is, but it looks very interesting. This ribbon is like forever. iPad Apple interface. Is that parallel? What does that mean? I don't. Houston Instrument, Austin, Texas, USA, it says here. The connector looks like this. Not sure what this is. We'd have to do some more research on this. It looks like there might be a few more of those in here. But let's keep on looking. Some of the Apple IIs that we had a lot of cards in, and so we actually removed the cards. What's this? Same thing. Yeah, same deal here. iPad Apple interface. Not sure what's going on here. These cables are interesting. These cables are so old, they're like, they only want to bend certain ways. iPad in Austin, Houston Instrument. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. That's like, hey, we're like Texas Instruments, but we're actually called Houston Instruments. No relation. Oh yeah. Okay, so this was this is in one of our Apple IIs. Look at this. All these like ridiculous jumper wires. What is this card? What's fun about this is it actually says Apple Computer on it. Look at that. It says Apple Computer here, but it has a billion of these little blue bodge wires or hot. Like, what is the purpose of this? Like, look, it's like a breadboard card. So this was in one of our Apple IIs, but I don't know what it does. It looks like it might be maybe a memory expansion. I don't know what that does, but it does have A, B, C, and D for the columns on the bottom. So if anybody knows what that card's about, I'd love to know what it is, because usually on Apple products, there's a model number or a reference number of some kind. Oh, here it is. 8200. Okay, I'm going to look this up on the internet for 1 second. Hang on. Let's see if we can find this. 820-0013-00. What is that? Vintage Apple bare boards untested. Okay, well. Sorry, I'm just doing some research on this card to see if I can find what it is. Oh, I found one on eBay. What does it do? What's it for? As is, untested. The card looks good condition. We're unable to test this card, so selling it as is. What did it sell for? I don't know. Oh, it's still for sale, 29 US dollars, but it's not nearly as popular. Anyway, we'll come back to that later. Anybody know what this is? Would love to know what you think this is, because it was in one of our Apple IIs, but I don't know what purpose it's serving. It's pretty wacky looking. What's this? Let's go back to the card cam for a second. Card cam, card cam. This looks like another one of those other things with the weird connector on. I think it's like parallel printers or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna wrap this ribbon cable around here so it doesn't get destroyed. There's like no markings on these cards. Like it doesn't say anything. Like someone made it in their garage or something weird. I don't know. Put this away. We got a couple more boxes of cards we're going to look at after we're done this bag. And then we're going to wrap up the broadcast. But, oh, look what I found. This looks interesting. Card cam says, hey, look. It's another weird Apple card. My word, look at the amount of wires in this thing. Okay, so this is interesting. It says character generator. OP code. I don't, is this a different character set for ASCII codes? Again, it says Apple Computer on the bottom. Is there any? Wow, I have no idea what this is. It's like the other card too. It's the same model number. 820-0013-00. So it's like just like an Apple breadboard, and it's just, we're just doing whatever. All right, so keep moving here. Oh wow, this is even wilder. Okay, so look at this. They remember the breadboard card we just looked at? They just like literally slice this thing. You know how I know is because if you look here, it says ink. They like slice the card right there. And this and look, it's a Centronics printer interface. So somebody like literally just soldered headers onto this thing and made like a printer card. That's wild. I wonder what this little jumper's for here. That's funny. Okay, well, that is one heck of a homebrew printer card is what that is. And yeah, okay. All right, that was a weird bucket of cards. So very, very odd, very, very oddball cards. If you've seen cards like that, I'd love to know your feedback on kind of what their purpose is. But just seeing those cards all wired up by hand, it looks like, it's pretty interesting. Centronics printer cards, character generator cards, Houston Instruments printer cards, not Texas Instruments, Houston Instruments, totally different company. Please don't sue us. Thanks. All right, we're putting all these parallel printer cards away. That is awfully strange. Let's see what else we got in the bucket of goodies. I think we're done with bags, so all that's left is boxes. Oh, this is an interesting thing here. We've got a little cable, and there's a DB15 on the back. I was going the wrong way here. And then this plugs into one of the 5200 video port. I'm not sure, GEMO or something. I'm curious as to where that lives, but I do have a model number on it. I'm just going to punch that in for a second. See if we come up with anything. 590-2607. Let's type in Apple cable and see if we get anything there. No, I have no idea what that's for. We'll figure that out later. Oh yeah, also this was in our bag too. These are little alligator clips that are supposed to plug into something. I think we took pictures of this before we unhooked it because we had no idea where it was going to go. I'll put it back in the bag with all the printer cables. All right, we're going to wrap things up with a few boxes here. Ugh. Don't know what's in here, but we're going to open it up and find out. So check this out, everybody. AppleCard. I've never seen this before. This is the first time I've seen it. Let's go to the card cam view and have a look at this. So AppleCard is an add-in Z80 coprocessor board for your Apple II, II Plus, or IIe computer. So if this is what it says it is, it's the AppleCard inside. It says here, AppleCard with 128K or 64K RAM extender. And then we have AppleCard for the Apple III with WordStar. That's fun. And then over here we have the 88 card is an add-in 8088 processor for your Apple II. Runs 16-bit MS-DOS software. Oh, that's kind of cool. Well, let's open this up and see what's in here because it says that it's the AppleCard. If the card's actually in here, that would be amazing. And it looks like it is. Wow. And look at this. Original documentation. Looks like we're missing the, well, there's some Apple III. Oh, wow. This is cool. Check this out. We have actual floppy disks with CP/M versions on them. Wow. That is wild. Look at that. 1976 to 83, digital research, CP/M version 2.2. Over here we have RAM disk driver files, copyright 1982. And over here we've got CP/M master. Well, that is wild. So we've actually got floppy disks that will run CP/M on our Apple computers. This is very exciting. And to actually have the original software that came with it pretty much guarantees that it's going to work, providing there's no, the disk is readable and there's no hardware issues. So we've got the actual manual for this thing. I don't know what this is. We got one of those little weird alligator clips again. And we've got a little jumper for something. We'll hold on to that. What else is in here? CP/M primer. Wow. Insane. This is totally wild. This is like, welcome to computing in the late 70s, everybody. This is what we're doing. Oh, and look, we've got the license agreement. Look, there's Gary Kildall's signature right there. That's wild. So original license agreement, well, Sam's CP/M primer. This is like a manual. I don't know if this actually came with the thing or if it was just thrown in here. So we've got that, and let's open up the card. This will be one of the highlights of the broadcast, it looks like. And then I'm curious. Let's go with the card view here. Look at this. It's wrapped up very lovingly in some anti-static bubble wrap. For those of you just joining us, we are doing a rather extensive live stream of cards, expansion cards that we picked up from our haul in November, Keith and I. I'm wondering if this thing's ever been used. All right, pink bubble paper. Well, this thing looks like it's got a daisy chain thing on it. I think it's more than what we think it is. This card seems to have some extra parts to it, so I think it might be one of the more advanced ones that we looked at on the cover. Let's go ahead and... Has this even been opened? Like, oh, here we go. Wow. Okay, so this is just nuts. I don't know if this thing's ever been opened or used or what, but it looks like it's, I don't know. Let's go back to the card cam. Oh, look at this. This is insane. We've got a sticker falling off here because it's only 40-some years old. What does that say? It says Applicard SN40089 Bootstrap V9 PCPI 1982. Personal Computer Products Incorporated. So this, look at that. This thing's got like a daisy chain board with extra RAM on it. So Applicard. Okay, I'm just gonna have another look at the... Okay, so this is what's going on. Let's take a look at this again. Applicard with 128K or 64K RAM extender. That's what this is. So we don't, not only do we have the Applicard, we've got the Applicard with 128K extender. I think it's 128K. How would you know? I guess you'd have to plug it in and find out. So this is a serious add-on Z80 card is what this is. Not only is this a Z80 card, but it's adding extra RAM for you. And it has a 6 megahertz Z80 processor, RAM extender add-on card. Apple Disk software supports 192K RAM disk for Apple DOS and 112K for CP/M with 128K extender, or 128K RAM disk for Apple DOS and 56K for CP/M with 64K extender. I don't know if this is 128 or 64, but nonetheless, this is awfully impressive. So I didn't know we had this. This is Personal Computer Products Incorporated Applicard. That is a mothership Z80 card right there, and I don't even know if it's ever been used. It looks like it's virtually new, which is wild. Yeah, so that's in the box in a pink static bag. I'm going to put this back in the bag. Crazy, absolutely crazy. We'll put this back into the foam bag first. Yeah, if you wanted a Z80 card, that's probably the one you want. Oh, this foam bag is tricky to get this back in here. Okay, we're going to put this pink static bag back together. Z80 card, Applicard 2.0 with RAM expansion. Absolutely mental. Can you believe that, folks? That is just wild. That is like a thing. In the box, Apple Card with the RAM expansion. Crazy. That is wild. All right, let's take a look at some more magic. A few more boxes, then we're going to wrap up here. We're coming up to an hour and 45 minutes of this nonsense. Apple II 3.5-inch disc controller card. Let's open this up. Let's take a look at the card cam. Look at that. We've got pristine, and I mean pristine. Apple II 3.5 disc controller card owner's guide. Look at how beautiful this manual is. It is absolutely incredible. Okay, so it says this tells you how to install it in an Apple II GS computer. Does that mean you can put it in the Apple II computer as well? Oh yeah, 2E. So you can hook this Apple II 3.5-inch disc controller to Apple IIe. Tells you which cards slots are for what. Setting up your floppy drive. Initialize second first. You got to be careful with these drives because if you're using the wrong one, you can actually damage things. So got to be careful with that. Yeah, warning, do not put a 1.4 meg high density disk into an 800K drive. These disk drives cannot reliably read or write information. They cannot properly initialize. Interesting. So yeah, you can't just throw disks willy-nilly back and forth. Configuring your drive utility software under GSOS. All right, so we've got basically a card here, GSOS. That's fun. All right, let's take a look. We've got packing list. Please complete and mail this registration card. This registration card has never been like, wow. Apple license agreement. Hey, look, a 3.5-inch disc installer. Looks like it's never been touched. Oh, there's clips. Look at this. This is wild. 2 styles of mounting hardware. Both require use of hex head locking. Look, it still has the baggie of the locking tabs. How about that? 1 year limited warranty. 1 year. I think we're past that. And we've got little thumb screws that hold it to the back plate, or whatever that's for. And, hey, look, it's actually in a static bag. Let's take a look at that. You know, this bag is open, but it sort of seems to me like, oh, wow. That is pristine. Look at that. Apple II. It smells brand new. Sorry, I'm just going to like... This thing says 1991 on it, and when I smell it, it's like... It smells like brand new. I would doubt that this thing's even been used. Look at like the cable. Look at that. I don't see any markings on the teeth. I don't think this thing's ever been plugged in. So I think this is the Lyron card, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this thing's just like ridiculously impeccable. Look at that. Unbelievable. So like, it might as well virtually, like it feels like it's brand new. Original box, original foam, original static bag, original documentation. This is original Apple foam here in this thing. So we're just going to put this stuff back. This is very fun. This is I'm kind of glad I almost saved this for last, because like you've got the original hex screws, you've got the original Apple II installer disc, the packing list. Like if you were to buy a 3.5-inch controller card today, this is what it would look like. This is exactly like there's nothing missing. That's wild, is what that is. Absolutely complete. Nothing's missing out of that. Original box. pretty darn cool. All right, we got a few more boxes here before we wrap up. Let's go back to the card cam. Apple 5.25 controller. So this is a little bit different. This is the one we just looked at was the 3.5. This is the 5.5. We do not have all the documentation in foam in here, but we do have the card, so that's cool. So this card, I think you could use to hook up to the Duo disc, which I believe we have a couple of those. So yeah, Apple 5.25 controller, drive controller. So this plugs into the back of the Apple II, and then you use this to hook up to the Duo disc or your 5.25 drive. Nonetheless, having the original box is kind of cool. We'll put that back. And it says for the Apple II, 2 Plus, 2E, and 2GS there at the bottom. Might be fun to print out the documentation for that and put it in there, but that is the original box, and that card goes inside of it. So 2 disc controllers, one for 3.5, one for 5.25. Okay, we've got some. This is probably the most unique of all. I remember when we took this, Gary, he was like, "Holy shit!" So this is the original Apple box. Unfortunately, we're missing some of the. Sorry, going back to the card cam. There's usually some wrap around here that would tell you what this is for, but it's gone. But look at the side. Let's flip that around. IEEE 488 interface card. For those of you wondering what the heck IEEE 4888 is, it's actually an older interface protocol for connecting different types of hardware to the Mac or to the Apple. Let's just go ahead and open this up and see what's in here. Oh, look, we got more Apple foam. That's fun. We've got a photocopied version of the So that's the IEEE 488 interface manual, photocopied out. You can see someone photocopied the coils there. It's funny. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what's going on. I do not know what IEEE 488 is, but apparently these cards are pretty rare. And yeah, check that out. That's the interface cable. This is like built like a tank. And look, it's got this kind of threaded ribbon protector so the cable doesn't get destroyed. And look, there it is. Apple IEEE 488 interface card. I looked on eBay and these things are fairly rare. 1980, Texas Instruments TMS chip there. So yeah, that is very interesting stuff there. So we've got the actual card. We have a photocopy of the documentation, which is better than none. And then we've also got the the foam on top. So that is an IEE interface card for the Apple II. If any of you are interested in that, let us know. I don't know what I would use it for, but we do have an IEE 488 interface card for the Apple II. Very, very interesting. Okay, a couple more and then we are done. Let's switch back to the card cam for a moment. Parallel interface card, and while we're at it, we got two of them, so we might as well check these out. I don't know if these are installed in one of our machines already or if they're not. Let's put this on top of here for a second. Check out this box here. This is kind of cool. It's got like the Apple wording logo all over the top of it. It's kind of neat. Oh, yes, and when you open up this box, it actually folds open. Look at that. That's neat. So again, we got our standard blue Apple foam, which is fun. And look at this. Apple II parallel interface. So this is not a super serial card. All this card does is talk to parallel printers. We don't have the cable here. Let's have a look and see if maybe it's in. Oh, this is interesting. I wonder if that's in the other box too. We should have a look and see. What's this? Oh, cool! I was wondering. These are highly sought after. This is one of those Apple cracking tools. It's got the Apple logo on it. I'm curious if there's one of these in the other box. That's fun. I'm not sure what this is all about though. That might be for mounting the. Looks like the IEE card all over again. Let's put this. Put that back so it doesn't get banged up. Flip that in like so. You're watching Computer Compulsive. This is Craig, and we are doing a pick a card, any card broadcast. We've been looking at all sorts of different cards that we picked up. This says here for 2 Plus and 2E, which is interesting. But let's open up the second one here and see what's going on in this box, if it's the same thing. Back to the card cam. We got our blue foam again. Oh, we got some more documentation in here. Oh, wow. It's even got the nut plate installation. Look at that. These little clamp tools are cool, the fact that we've actually got these. Oh, and look at this. This is the manual for the parallel interface card. Never been opened. It's like still sealed. Unbelievable. The stuff that we found, I'm telling you. Oh, look at this. FCC information packing list. I always like these. It tells you what you should have got with your box. Parallel interface card, internal cable, internal cable. So the only problem is there a card in here? Nut plate instructions, warranty register, user input. Okay, so yeah, there's the user input. That's pretty wild. Limited warranty, I think that's passed. Okay, well this card might be in one of our machines already, possibly. I'm guessing that might be the case because the card actually isn't in here. But the fact that we have every other piece of, including the manual that's never been opened, that is wild. Oh, did I forget to put the... Might have forgot to put the foam padding back in the other box. I don't know. Anyways, parallel interface cards. I think we have more than one of those, but the card's not in the box like I had hoped, but that's totally okay. Let's go to, this is kind of the most, I wanted to save the big one for last. So this is the last thing we're going to talk about today, and then we're going to wrap up. We've been here for 2 hours. My feet are getting sore. As noted, we picked up 3 Apple III systems, and having 3 Apple III systems, you know, having 1 is amazing. Having 2 is incredible. Having 3 is like winning the lottery. So we have 2 Apple IIIs that are regular Apple IIIs, and we have 1 Apple III that's an Apple III Plus. They didn't make very many pluses, so the fact that we have one is pretty darn cool. The Plus uses the same keyboard as the Apple IIe, whereas the original Apple III keyboards were slightly different keycaps. Nonetheless, this is something that I wanted to show last because of a number of reasons. Let's go to the card cam and I'll tell you why. All right, so Apple III, we have an Apple III soft card system. So what this is a Z80 card for the Apple III. And the cool thing about this is it appears that we have all of the original packaging, as well as I think the documentation's in there. I don't remember if I've opened this up before. We're going to open it up right now, and we're going to have a look and see what's inside of this box. So I'm just going to slide this open. And again, you see the lovely Apple lettering on the box. You can see all the different Apple logos, which is kind of cool. Very stylish, even back in the early 80s. Let's just take a look at this wrap for just a second here before we proceed. Okay, cool. So system requirements, Apple III with minimum 128K of RAM. Some Apple IIIs only came with 64, so you got to be careful with that. Suitable high-resolution video displays such as Monitor 3. We have several of those. We have 3 of them, actually. Optional external disk drive, disk 3, or profile hard disk. We have a profile hard disk that we are just sorting out as well. So this is going to let us run CPM on the Apple III. That's what this card does. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inside of the package, see what's all included. Welcome to the Apple Softcard 3 system, a computer within a computer. All right, so that's pretty cool. So that's the first thing that you're going to see when you open up the package. Softcard 3 circuit board. So it's kind of an interesting handle here. This is obviously already kind of broken, but and again, like I said, we have original documentation. And we even got the bookmarker on the back. This has never been folded, so this has really never been used. You can tell by looking at it. We've also got CPM reference manual. This manual looks impeccable, like for being, this is like literally 40 some years old. I don't know if this came with it or if it was just thrown in, but it's a Osborne McGraw-Hill CPM user guide. Special Microsoft Softcard Edition for Apple II and Apple III owners. All right, so that's super cool, but now check what's underneath here. Look at this. We have, like, this is completely bonkers. Apple Softcard 3 CPM Master Diskette. Microsoft 1982, Apple 1980, Digital Research Incorporated. Like, look at how cool this is. This is absolutely wild. And then we've got an Apple III CPM Master. We've got a soft card 3 utilities diskette. We've got CompuDraw, public domain software, and then it looks like we have a few blanks here. So this is pretty wild that we have all this original CPM soft card stuff going on. And then before we wrap up, we're actually going to open up the box. And if I'm not mistaken, we should actually see the card in here, I think is what's going on. Let's go ahead and do this. All right, you ready, folks? Ta-da! Softcard 3 by Microsoft. Now, it seems to me that we had one of those when we first started this entire thing. But anyhow, the fact that we have the original packaging and software and everything is pretty wild. Let's take a look at this card here. And again, you can see Apple III, soft card 3 down below. So with that, we are going to sign off. We have an actual soft card 3, and you can see this little slot goes there. Saving the best for last, the Softcard 3 circuit board by Microsoft for the Apple III with the original software and the original reference manual. Look at that's it's complete. Like the only thing missing is the shrink wrap around the outside. So there's a bit of an overview of all of the cards that we picked up. I think we have more cards somewhere, and we've already, we're 2 hours in. We don't have time to go over everything all the time. But for those of you who had the patience to watch this entire broadcast, I salute you. I applaud you. You made it. It's 2:15 in the morning, but I had a great time. I hope you enjoyed the broadcast of going through all the expansion cards that we picked up in our haul from November of 2024. So for Computer Compulsive, this is Craig signing off. We're going to do some more testing of these cards in future videos, but I thought to begin with, we would just start off with a roll call. So we'll see you guys next time. It's almost the end of Marcintosh. We'll try to do a couple more videos before it's over with some fun stuff that we've been planning for you folks. So this is Craig signing off. See you guys next time.